So we have to keep up in our generation with this. And now fast forward, I started this 30 years ago when I was 31. Now I'm 61. So I've actually aged into the group that I'm in and created SeniorNet, which was the first social network for older people, 250 centers around the world, and won the WIB in social media. Right as I left, because the funder of this was the person who created Sesame Street, Lloyd Morissette, and he wanted to do something for children, for seniors, like he and Joan Cooney had done for children. So we created the Senior Network, and I ran it for 9 years, and it was a really fun experience, and we had about 2 million people. And then he called me one day and said, Mary, I'm retiring. And I thought, there went my budget. He said, you've got to write a business plan. Well, I never had this MBA. I didn't quite know what he was saying. So I went up to the launch of Windows 95, was in a booth. Jay Leno and Bill Gates were running around in a little cart. And I flew back next to Don Clark of the Wall Street Journal. And I said, wow, this internet's going to be even bigger than I thought. And guess what? The boomer senior market's going to be even bigger than that. So 91% of the net assets are in the hands of this market. And I started getting calls from venture capitalists on the left and right coast. I wanted them to endow my nonprofit. Now that doesn't play well when you're raising money in this building. Please start out by giving me money for an idea. I'm a woman, and also endow the nonprofit that I care about. But eventually we closed the financing with some of the top tier investors, raised $3 million, $10 million, $89 million, got to ride the whole roller coaster of what it was like to raise money. And it got to the point where the financing fell apart when I was in England. And I got a call at 2 in the morning saying the financing fell apart. And there were more phone calls out of my room. They were so worried about me, they sent the hotel management in to make sure I was okay. And so what did I do? Everything a woman would do. I went out and did a little retail therapy the next day and had a cup of tea. And I bought a piece of art that sits in my living room today. Nicholas Negroponte had sent me there to talk to the Vanguard group about the boomers. So I bought a picture with these 3 boats in a harbor. And all I wanted to be was in a safe harbor. So I go to my startup, which is a little like your room you're sharing, with 5 people who've now quit their jobs, including one guy who gave up $1 million bonus, and someone who was an Emmy award-winning producer who was about to go on her honeymoon, and you never want to say the financing fell apart. So what I learned was you shore up the team, and you can't cry. And then you go out every day to raise money. You're like Captain Sully Sullenberger. You cannot land that plane anywhere except for the way everyone can get off the plane. So anyway, we built a wonderful company. We sold the company. I was in line to be CEO, called by a headhunter to run ARP. I'm going to actually suggest you speak at their fall conference, because I just got the gig to run their conference for 15,000 people in September. Yes. So I said to them, you know, you really should have online dating in the interview. And how many of you think online dating for the 1 in 3 baby boomers who are, could one of you write a business plan for this by Friday? So anyway, 1 in 3 baby boomers are dating again. There's no dating site that really appeals to them. And I thought it was a huge revenue stream. Well, given that I had no Hill experience and health reform wouldn't have passed, and no budget experience, they didn't give me the job, but Santa Clara hired me. And then they said, we think you should raise money while you're here. And I said, well, that sounds good. I'll just go to this foundation. And they said, no, the library has that. Oh, well, then I'll go to this foundation. No, somebody else has that. And then I thought, well, I'll just have a conference. And then I had lunch with Brad Vail of J&J Corporate Ventures. And Brad said to me, you know, there's more. He said, we just funded every company that came out of the medical device competition at Stanford. And I said, that's the answer. We'll have an international competition. We'll bring the best judges from Silicon Valley, because 39% of the wealth creation is in Silicon Valley. So we'll bring the VCs in. They're always looking for opportunity. And I'll just take my suitcase full of slides, and I'll go to Wharton and Harvard and Carnegie Mellon, and I'll inspire people to write business plans about this market. Because I fundamentally think that the changes that are going to happen in our society are going to happen from entrepreneurial-minded people and institutions. So there's a really strong chance one day you're going to be sitting up here wondering what business you should build, or business your mom should build or your husband should build. So I've learned about 6 rules in business that I want to share. And the first is, have a strong and compelling vision. And your vision goes with you. It goes with you from that little place where you were serving in Lake Tahoe to it goes with you for your next people today. And so I've taken my vision with me and I evangelize. If you're on an airplane and you sit next to me, I feel really sorry for you. And so those of you who know me know that I go around inspiring people to build businesses. If I'm in New Zealand and it's lingerie for women with breast cancer, and then I attach those entrepreneurs to the best minds I have access to, which are my students in my MBA class. So I have a student now writing a business plan. He seems to be on my calendar at least 3 times a week, and it's going to compete with Groupon. So I need some help for him. It's called the Weekend List. It won this competition in my class. So one thing is having a really strong vision. And my vision is the reinstatation of older people as leaders. But I don't just do that in for-profit companies. I have for-profit companies give back to frail, elderly, older adults. So everything we do has a sense of giving back as part of the premise. Just like, and I think you see this more with women. And enlightened men, especially those who steer here at 4 o'clock on a Saturday. And so we want to give. So the second thing is, Alan Rothenberg said to me, he was one of my investors, revenue keeps the doors open. Find that big customer, and don't be afraid to say you can serve that customer. Even if it means dressing up your friends as bakers, you know, and go after your biggest customer. Like if any of you are from Apple, I actually think I can help them figure out that the iPad is a boomer product. And I know that because we can see that, you know. We can't see our cell phones sometimes. So think about where the revenue is going to come from. But, you know, we used to have a saying in the digital games, your valuation's high enough, you don't need perfume. Your valuation's high enough, you don't need perfume. This comes because we think often in terms of jobs and salaries. We don't think about wealth creation. So you want revenue streams where there's wealth creation. So every company that I touch has a wealth creation opportunity or a give back opportunity because they're nonprofit. And I usually try to marry the two. Now, talk to me when you structure your deal, or take my vision and deals class, because Miriam Rivera of Google structured a great deal for herself. And I'm actually sourcing talent for 5 companies right now. So if you're interested, see, I'm too old to run a company, but I can place you in the right kind of companies, and that's good for me. So the third thing is, it's all about the team. I've had the unfortunate experience of getting my second cell phone ticket, so I can't talk on the cell phone when I drive. And I really need a driver, so I need one of these companies to be successful. But I have a friend who I didn't show up at a conference. I was ready not to fly to Las Vegas to a conference one day. It was a Fast Company event. No, it was Telluride. And the guy who spoke right before me said, you know, I flew from Europe and back because I made a commitment. If Adeline, who has served me with such grace and intelligence for the past 2 years and picked up 1,000 missing balls with very little information in between, asked me to be here at 4 o'clock on a Saturday, I'm going to be there. Because that's what you do, is you honor the team, and Nicole, who's been so gracious, you honor the team that's with you, and you're constantly recruiting. So I'm constantly looking for talent. And John Madden gets this. He goes to the home, he talks to the parents, he recruits the team. Business is about team building and supporting the team. So you can be connected to 1,000 people on LinkedIn. What you want are 8 LinkedIn recommendations that are stellar. So I print no marketing material for my business. I just say, look at my LinkedIn recommendations. It's kind of backfiring with the undergraduate class because we got too many in the class and now they don't fit in rooms at startup companies. And so